If you're new to the world of fragrances and you're looking for some great recommendations to start building your collection, I've got some great recommendations for you that will cover you across various scenarios. If you think this video will be useful to anyone you know, please do share it with them. Okay, let's crack on with this list. What's going on, guys? Raj here. I hope all of you are well. So if you are somebody who is, you're starting out in the game, I've got some fragrances that I think are definitely worth adding to your collection, and you can start to build a collection that will cover you in various times and places that you might find yourself in. So I've got a couple of recommendations for work or more professional settings, night out scenarios, special occasions, and casual occasions too. If you just have a collection that will fit all of these purposes, you're going to have yourself a great collection. So let's kick things off with the first scenario, which is work and professional. Okay, so everyone's job is going to be very, very different, and the places that you work in will vary, sometimes quite greatly. But I think the vibe that I'm going with my couple of picks for this one is you're trying to come across as professional, nothing too over the top, well put together, well mannered, and that kind of vibe. So the first fragrance to mention is Eau Sauvage Parfum. This is a fragrance that I used to own when it came out in the 2012 version. I've been working off a decant, which is off the new version, the 2017 one, which is the one that you'll probably only see on the shelves now. And I think this will work fantastic in sort of office-based scenarios. It's a fragrance that Dior has tried to reinterpret. So the original Eau Sauvage came out in 1966, and it's still going, it's still around now, and it still is a classic, and I highly recommend it. Eau Sauvage Parfum, the new version, I think I like it as much as the original. It contains still a hint of the original, that citrusy, bergamot, lavender, that fresh citrus aromatic vibes, but in the new one they have taken out the myrrh and added elemi, which is still, it still allows it to retain that kind of resinous feel, but I feel like it's less loud, it's less bold, but still very, very well done. There's a very beautiful grassy vetiver note in here as well, which really shines, and I've got to say, the perfumer for Dior, Francois Demachy, has done a fantastic job with this fragrance. This probably for me is one of the best new releases on the market, and also I would just say one of the best fragrances that I've tried for the first time recently. Definitely worth checking out, and it's on my to buy list. Okay, the next fragrance on this list comes from the Italian brand Acqua di Parma, and the fragrance is called Colonia Essenza. Now guys, with this list, I'm not trying to recommend only affordable fragrances or easy to wear basic fragrances. No, I want you guys, if you're new to this, to have a varied selection, good quality scents, and that's what I'm doing with this list. So Colonia Essenza, while it for a lot of people might seem as a fragrance that's on the pricey side, you can get this for good deals. So look around online, but for me, even at a retail price, I think this is still good value. So I have actually reviewed this fragrance, and if I have reviewed any of the fragrances I'm going to mention, the link will also be down below. Colonia Essenza is very classic. It builds on the original Colonia, and it adds I would say a lot more depth to this fragrance. It's still herbal and citrus and aromatic and a little bit woody. It's quite a masculine fragrance, actually, I find. Very understated, but it has decent performance. It's not one that's going to last all day, admittedly, but the quality is there from start to finish. It's classy. It's you can imagine an Italian gentleman in a sunny part of Italy wearing this. It comes across as very likable. I think you're going to get compliments with this fragrance, and you're probably not going to smell like everyone around you in the office. I think this is a really good fragrance to check out, as are other fragrances from Acqua di Parma's Colonia range. There's something in there for you, probably. Check it out and enjoy it. Okay, so you're done with work. It's now time to go out, have a drink, go for dinner, wherever you may be, a restaurant, a bar, a cocktail bar, a wine bar, or a fancy hotel. I've got a great recommendation for you here. This is coming from the house of Tom Ford, a fragrance that I've recently reviewed. This one is Ombre Leather. So straight away I have to say, Tom Ford Ombre Leather is not going to be for everyone. This is certainly one that's more on the bolder side. It's definitely a fragrance that has tons of character and is one of those that I feel is one for somebody who has a more stronger personality, or somebody is very comfortable in pushing the boundaries slightly. Ombre Leather is basically a softer version of Tuscan Leather, which is part of the Private Blend line. But this still retains a lot of those qualities, but just dialed down. It's less smoky, but still smoky. It's fruity. It's like a hyper realistic fruity accord. You know, this, a lot of people say raspberry. I don't think this smells exactly like a, would you call it a punnet of raspberries? I don't know the term for it, a bunch of raspberries together. But it smells like an artificial, partially natural raspberry note. It's really, really beautiful. I don't like to spray too much of this one. It has a potency to it. Yeah, I think this is very much on the masculine side, but you know what? I would be really intrigued to find out what this smells like on a woman. And this list, guys, that I'm mentioning, anyone can wear these fragrances, I feel. Another alternative for a night out is a fragrance that I don't have in my collection, but I still would recommend it. It is a fragrance I have reviewed. It's from the designer brand of Givenchy, and this one is Givenchy Gentleman. Givenchy have, like a few other designer brands, messed around with names, made things very, very confusing. This is not to be confused with the original Gentleman that came out a few decades ago. This is a new release, and I think they've done a great job with this fragrance. If you're a fan of fragrances like Dior Homme, like Tom Ford Noir, Givenchy Gentleman is a great fragrance for evening scenarios. It has a slightly powdery feel to it, coming from the orris. There's a sweet vanilla accord in here as well. There's a freshness and a lightness also to this fragrance, which I really appreciated when I was testing this one out. And you know what? It's a very, very solid designer release. And actually, Givenchy as a house is, while I don't consider it to be top level, along with the Dior's, Hermes, the Chanel's of the world, it's on a par, I would say, with fragrances like houses like Bulgari. You know, they make good quality scents, but they are accessible in terms of price and also in terms of wearability. The Givenchy Gentleman is one of those that surprised me, and I would definitely recommend this for evening scenarios. It's time to attend a special occasion. So you may be celebrating an anniversary, a birthday, a promotion, or some sort of personal achievement, and you want to mark the occasion with a good fragrance. So I've got a couple of recommendations for you. These are niche fragrances. Now this, as I said, guys, this is not a list that is just about affordable fragrances for beginners. This is somebody who just wants great fragrances straight away. And I've got a recommendation here from Amouage. This one is called Jubilation 25. This is the men's version. Some say this is a fragrance for kings. Well, it certainly has a regal quality. This is my second bottle. Now, I didn't finish my first bottle, but I did bring it back into my collection. And first of all, I've got to say the presentation on this is an absolute beauty. I love the detail here. It's very, very impressive. It used to say Amouage or Jubilation down the side of the bottle, but now they've changed it up and they've got the magnetic cap here. I still think this performs really, really well. I feel like there is something slightly missing that I can't quite put my finger on when I'm comparing it to the original, but don't worry if you've never smelled the original. I still think this is very, very faithful to the OG. It's strong. I think if you're not used to more bolder type fragrances, this might be a little bit of a surprise for you. But a couple of applications on your blazer or your shirt, or if you're wearing like a nice bit of knitwear, really good. It'll work very well. It has bold notes like the incense, and there's a touch of smoke in here as well, also obviously coming from the incense, but there's some more sort of heavy hitting notes in there as well, which are really nicely balanced out by fresher, ambery, sweeter notes, berry notes in here. It's really good. I don't find this one to be too difficult to wear, if I'm honest. Maybe because after all these years of testing fragrances, I'm now used to this style. But I think if you're not used to these louder style fragrances, a couple of light applications will do you well, and you won't have to apply too much. This is certainly, I would say, in my experience of the brand of Amouage, I think this one is the best from the house. My second recommendation is a fragrance that I've recently mentioned on my channel in a recent haul video. It's a fragrance that I used to own in the older style bottle, and now I've got it back into my collection. From Guerlain's La Alamatière collection, this one is Cuir Beluga. Cuir Beluga is just classy, really classy fragrance. I get a buttery feel with this fragrance. Now, I don't just mean from a buttery suede feel. I mean like actually a butter cooked in a pan, which sounds really weird, but it really isn't. It's not literally like that. There's a hint of that in there. It's a little bit floral, touch of aldehydes in here. Very well balanced, very good blending, and ingredients are allowed to shine. It's sweet and it's vanillic. I feel like a lot of the fragrance in this line really focus on vanilla. Guerlain are known for that, the way that they treat their vanilla and the way that they I think I've read on the website or read somewhere that they steep it in alcohol for a long amount of time, which brings out a depth to the vanilla. Excellent fragrance. Really happy to have this one back in my collection. Highly recommended. So for casual scenarios, you're just chilling, maybe it's a Sunday, maybe you've got the day off work or something along those lines. You don't want to be wearing anything fancy in terms of clothing and in terms of fragrances. You're not doing anything spectacular that day. You just want something very simple and well put together and well made. And I think a fragrance that I would recommend, and not just this one, but a few others from this brand and from this line. This one is Prada's Infusion d'Iris. So with this fragrance, what they actually have done, I don't know if there is a newer style of packaging, but in this one, they list the ingredients down the side of the bottle, so you can see a few of them there. It's a really well put together fragrance. It comes across as clean and fresh and shower fresh. I don't find this one to be difficult to wear for a man. There used to be one called Infusion d'Homme, which is now replaced with Infusion de Cèdre or something along those lines. It's soapy. I find this one to be a little bit maybe grassy and very much like a sort of a floral aldehydic quality with this one. A lot of the notes that I mentioned in here, like incense and benzoin, don't really come through on my skin too strongly, but this is like that white linen shirt kind of fragrance that you just want to spray all over your body. Really good. I think the cedar one is very good. I think Infusion de Vetiver is worth checking out if you're maybe not too keen on this one. I would also recommend Prada's Amber Pour Homme. I would actually say I probably prefer that one to this. Maybe I need to bring it back into my collection. But yeah, all of these fragrances have that fresh, soapy, clean feeling. And I think Prada really specialize in that. Give them a go. Worth checking out. The next fragrance to mention is one that I never actually reviewed. I don't know why. I really should have. It was from the house of Gucci. It's a fragrance I actually no longer own, but would be more than happy to have it back in my collection. This one is Gucci Pour Homme 2. Gucci Pour Homme 2 has a very, very different style to the Prada, completely different in terms of the composition and the notes, but similar in terms of this casual, relaxed feel. It contains a tea note, it has a kind of pencil shaving, woody, cedary vibe. It's very, very, I would say, sort of more on a sort of meditative quality, I would say. You know, it has that kind of effect like you are meditating, you've got some incense burning. Yeah, it does have a very calming quality. I have heard a lot of people say that it does have a very calming quality, and yeah, I would totally agree. A Gucci Pour Homme 2 is a fragrance that was mentioned many years ago, quite a lot in the fragrance community, and I think maybe because people move on to new things, it lost the it came out of the spotlight. But I would still highly recommend this fragrance, worth checking out. I think the packaging is really awesome. I will show a picture. It's very, very strong. I remember it having very sharp edges, so handle with caution. But the fragrance is very, very relaxed and very, very easy to wear. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you like what you see, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.